Your inner world shapes your outer life. Things come from the inside and manifest in the outside. So we need to do that work in the inside to manifest something else in the outside world. My other belief is really like life is here to be enjoyed. I want to help you to live life to the fullest, to live in abundance. And abundance, you have to see how you define it. It can be abundance of time, freedom, money, love, whatever it means to you, maybe all of it. But we are here on earth to enjoy life. Welcome to the inner space. This is for you if you need encouragement to be more yourself and explore your own path. Maybe because you feel different, too sensitive, or just not able to do things as everyone else seems to. There is a way, and it's your unique way. I'm Gloria Jansen. I am a coach, a healing artist, and a surfer. I am here to help you ride the waves of life, work, and business to find that deeper alignment with your creative and sensitive soul. If this feels like you, I invite you to know yourself better, feel all the emotions, and trust yourself, so you experience the freedom and fulfillment of being and doing you. Subscribe now to catch the next wave to the inner space, where authenticity sets you free. This episode is for you if you want to know if you've landed in the right place, if the inner space is made for you. When I land in someone's worlds, I like to understand pretty quickly, is this person for me? How does she think, or he? What's their approach? Will she or he be able to help me? And that's the purpose of this episode. If you don't know me, it's ideal to listen to that one. And if you know me a bit, you will hear more about my approach, my story, my beliefs. And if you already know me, know that I am happy you are still here listening to me. So that's what we are going to talk about. Maybe you are here because just your intuition called you to be here. If that's the case, I'm like, fantastic. This is already great because you're listening to your intuition, to your soul's calling. And that's, I would say, that's the best indicator to confirm you're already where you are meant to be. If you followed your intuition, or just you happen to be here, someone recommended you the podcast, and you want to know more, like your mind is inquiring, I will tell you more now. So, where should I start? Where do I want to start? First, the podcast is called The Inner Space. Obviously, it's about what's happening in your inner world. And that's where I work a lot through my work. And usually when people come to me and they're like, okay, that's my problem, I'm looking for solutions, we usually identify the problems in the outside world, or we are seeking solution in the outside world. And what do I mean with outside? Let's start with inside. Inside is really, how do I think? How do I feel? What are my beliefs? And there they are guiding our actions. It's okay, from there I act. I have specific behaviors. They inform my way of moving through the world. And outside would be, so it's clearly like our actions are this connection between inside and outside, but sometimes we focus on the action without looking what's the seed, what was planted before that informed the action. That's what makes some actions not have the result we want. So we need to look inside, and the shift needs to happen inside so that it's successful outside. And usually when we look outside, it's, oh, I don't know, I'm unhappy at work. Do I need to change work? My business is not working. Who do I need to hire? What's my problem? And that's where, if we do only the work on the outer side, then that's where we miss the point, actually. And I also decided to call this podcast The Inner Space because that's how I work with my clients. You will discover that through the episodes. And I love the word spaciousness, because that's what I provide for you. I have some clients who tell me they've never experienced that, having that space, especially because in this industry, whether it's coaching, therapy, let's say self-development, spiritual development generally, there is one way to work, which is or can be very based on do this, do that. Here are the 3 steps you need to do in order to, and so on, which in itself, it's not a problem. Sometimes I do need also to propose that and it's aligned. But in many situations, especially because you will hear about who my clients are, it doesn't work for them. And for me, it's an outer approach to say, oh, okay, that's what's working. If we knew there is one thing working for everyone, then we would already know and use it. No, everyone is so unique, so different, especially, again, the people who come into my world. To go back to what I wanted to share, I propose you really deep inner work. We dive deep into what's inside of you, so the shift that you desire happens. And there are 2 fundaments for that, which is one is really embracing who you are. When you are different, when you think, feel, act differently, it can be really a huge challenge to embrace who you are. Maybe you've heard since you are a child, you are too emotional, too loud, too silent, too shy. Just the way you do things seems sometimes weird to people. They don't understand it. And you grow up thinking there is something wrong with you. And that makes it very hard to embrace who you are. I see that also. I work with men and women. To give an example, for women, it could be like acting in a more sometimes masculine way, and that this behavior would have been accepted if you would have been a man, but is not accepted because you are a woman. Same for a man. You are more sensitive and you feel things, you are more emotional. And then even though society is evolving, and that's a good thing, in a direction where we welcome more emotions also for men, still we have a path to walk. And then you feel you're a man amongst other men and you can't let that part of yourself shine. You feel it's problematic. Men don't cry. So it's a real path when you're different to embrace who you are. Because let's make it obvious, if you are like society expects it or like people validate it, it's easy to be yourself. You can take a metaphor. I don't know, you are a sheep and you are amongst all the animals and you're like them. It's not hard to be yourself. It's much harder if you look different. So that's why I emphasize how much the work I do is about embracing who you are, allowing yourself, developing love for yourself. I know that can be a big word for some of you. And many emotions usually come up when we do that work. That's also one of my expertise I'm going to talk about. And the other parts, I said, like embracing who you are, accepting, it's a path. It's not we jump from, some people really are very critical with themselves. And it's not from I'm judging myself to, oh, I love myself. No, there are steps. Like I think it's one of the most beautiful journeys. Because, hey, it's you spend your life with yourself. And that makes you then feel much more peace when you are with other people. Because otherwise it's this judgmental perspective on yourself is activated every time you are with other people, especially when they trigger you or decide to show you how you are not able to do something or you're not fitting. And that's not triggering anymore once you are at peace with yourself and who you are. The second part is exploring your own way. And I said it like from self-knowledge emerges the direction. And you see this first part is really about knowing yourself, embracing who you are. And then we want you to move, of course, because life is about movement. We don't construct anything by just being sitting there. And because you are, I was going to say so special, so different. And someone will say, oh, I'm not so different. Everyone is unique. Everyone has their own way, even though, again, society, education is quite standardized. But you have a very specific way of moving through life. And you are in the right place if you want to explore your own way of doing. Usually that's the moment where you might have already done, you very probably have already done self-actualization work, self-development, spiritual development work, maybe at least with a therapist, maybe you had some coaching experience, or even beyond you. There are so many ways to work on yourself. And you have made the experience of trying to do things in a way that was taught to you, but it didn't work for you. I talked about self-actualization work, but I want this to be like much further than just self-development work. I will take many times also the example of business, because I am an entrepreneur. And for me, creating my business, learning to be a business owner, and it's a constant learning, has been one of the journeys, I guess one of the most challenging in terms of allowing myself to explore my own way of doing business. Because, and that's just an example, but I entered this space not knowing how to do business. Like really, I don't have any background initially in business. And I relied a lot on like others people's advices. And that's where I found myself like trying to adopt strategies that just didn't work for me. I'm giving the example of business, but you can apply to your own life. Maybe you've experienced it at school as a kid. Maybe you experience it at work at the moment. And when you are trying to do things as it is taught to you, and it's an authority, and when I say authority, it's someone you know who has more expertise, knowledge than you, who is supposed to know, and you fail making it happen, then your self-esteem goes down, your self-confidence goes down. And usually the conclusion is, oh, I'm not able, I don't know, to succeed in business, work, whatever. And that's the wrong conclusion, because it's not that you are not able either to implement the steps or succeed in the tasks. No, it's just because we need to go one step back, or 2, 3, 10 steps back. It's because the approach is not right for you. So initially we take that image so often with kids, like trying to make, I don't know, a square fit in another shape, whatever is around a circle. Like it just doesn't fit. I hope this gives you like a starting point also on where you are at with your current situation and rethinking the problem. And I insist on this idea of exploring your own way, and why also I called it the inner space, because space, if you take just the image, doesn't say, oh, you need to sit in the center, then you need to move around, then you need to, I don't know, enter through this door. Space is first something I believe many people lack, whether it's in terms of time, of listening, of just being. It's a lot also about being, not just doing. And space allows you to move around freely. And you can check, like, how does it feel to lie in that corner? How does it feel to dance in this other corner? And I'm just here to hold the space for you so you feel you can explore your own way. And of course, I'm guiding you through that because sometimes it feels scary. It's like suddenly you look around, okay, but what do I do? What am I supposed to do? Am I doing this right? No, I'm holding the space and guiding you through connecting to yourself. And that happens through different approaches. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Yeah, before a point, I'm looking at my notes and I also wanted to talk about, I've said you feel different. Maybe that's a bit abstract for some of you. For those who know my work, it won't be. I initially, when I started my business, beyond like my coaching certification in training, I did another training to support specifically gifted adults and highly sensitive adults. And because I uncovered that topic for myself, and that was the opening to all the what we call the neurodivergent world. And that was the beginning for me of really understanding how unique every person is and that you cannot apply a standardized approach to everyone. And that's what usually leads to pain, suffering, no success, and so on. That's why many people come to me because of that specialty. Some people know that they're gifted, that they're highly sensitive and seek specific support that is aligned and taking into account that approach. Some people, and many, because it's still a not so widespread understanding, they feel, hey, I'm not approaching and living things as apparently, I don't know, some friends or family or people describe. And I feel it's not so easy for me, this or that. Maybe I have ease with things where mostly people struggle. And the opposite is true, where people have, like for them, it's very simple. For me, it's quite challenging. And so they are just, I feel I might be highly sensitive. Maybe I'm not even accepting that idea, even more when you might think you are gifted, but it feels like, oh, it's very arrogant to believe I'm gifted. So that's fine. You don't need to have the label to be in this show, not at all. That's where I trust 100% life. If you are here, if my words resonate with you, you are in the right place. Please, I really don't need a test. I don't need a ticket that I'm going to validate to let you enter. The only ticket, if there would be one, is like the heart, the soul resonance, the mind resonance with what I share. I could say also you might feel atypical, just not able to do things as everyone seems to be able to do them. And it might be in some areas of your life, it's very smooth and easy. And in others, it's not. It's not like I'm not depicting everything is hard for me and everything feels so different. Maybe it is the case, but like sometimes it's in very tiny areas. I told you about me, my business journey. That's one area. In other areas of my life, I'm like, no, that's smooth. Maybe I'm more in tune with how most of the people do it. And in other areas, I feel the resistance. But for sure, life is inviting you to explore more who you are in your own way if you feel that resistance. When someone comes with the challenge they're facing, I will look and then work through every dimension that is needed. What does it mean? Mental? What is, I like to call it, your inner architecture? I'm an inner architect, which means imagine you have a house and this inner architecture is the walls. And these are like, it's either cement, maybe you have a wooden house, that would be nice too. Whatever, this is the structure. And this structure is made of your thoughts, your beliefs. I'm really talking about the mental plane. And here, that can be the first stage where we are blocked. What's our perspective on the situation? Like a wall is pretty thick and dense. It's like, how can I move through a wall, Gloria? That's to show you how strong our beliefs can be. we feel, we see, we sense them as a wall. Like just imagine now you're maybe in your home or you are seeing a big building. Imagine walking through the building. You will tell me, Gloria, that's impossible. Let's see. Let's see when you work with me. So that's to give you like the strength of the work we need to do on the mental plane to sometimes open ourselves up to, hey, maybe that looks different. And the more you exercise that part, the more these walls are easier to move. So like you have your house, you have the walls, and we work on that mental plane. Then we move into the emotional realm. The emotions sometimes are also stuck in the walls. Depending on the experience, sometimes we have traumatic experiences that have huge imprinting, and emotions, especially if you never let them go out of you, if you are not expressing them or mostly holding them back because you need to be strong, it can become a wall. Like it can be as thick, like there is no flow. And emotions are supposed to be in a flow, especially emotions. Of course, we also would like that with our mind, but we also have, I would say also there are some beliefs that are super helpful. That there are moments where we need a structure. The emotion is like, how can I go with that flow? How can I, it's like water. How can I let it move? I love to use the metaphor also of the ocean for emotions. I'm a surfer as well, so that's my world. And this work around your emotion is so liberating. Usually when you have problems with your energy level, there might be emotions that are stuck there that need releasing. And most of the reasons why we don't move in our life, we are not doing the steps we know would be helpful to be done, is because we fear something. There is a fear of something, and that can be connected to a thought. Then we work also on the energetical side. Of course, everything is super connected, because if you're super sad, of course, your energy is low. We can't disconnect everything I'm talking about, but it's interesting to know that I work also on that level. That's a level that you sometimes really need to go into when you feel, okay, Gloria, I know the situation, I've fought my way through. I've felt the emotion, but things still feel heavy. I'm still attached to something, like it's really something, it's not moving. And there we really need to go into the energetical space. I also work on the spiritual level, because you will see, you will hear from me. I also have a very spiritual approach. Spirituality, how I like to define, is how you're making meaning of things. So what's the meaning you are giving to something? I love this definition. For me, it's the most open definition. And because people who work with me need to find meaning to move forward. They need to understand. Sometimes we turn in around the topic and you're like, we can't let it go because we still haven't found a meaning. And spirituality really is super helpful to find meaning in sometimes situations that are difficult. Sometimes it takes time to find meaning, but that's really a way to let go. I could tell much more, but I believe this is already a lot of information. So how I could describe myself, maybe so that you know a tiny bit about me, but you will uncover much more by subscribing, following the episodes. I am a coach. So as you've heard, I'm certified, trained every year. I don't know how many trainings I do or add on so that I can help you better. I am also a healing artist. And I'm a surfer. That's more to tell you how much nature is important for me, how much I value flow, how much I value movement, sport as well, and this connection to nature. Maybe it's interesting for you to share you some beliefs I have, so to see if we are on the same page. First, and that might be obvious, but it's important to be said, one of my beliefs is your inner world shapes your outer life. I believe I've talked about it enough, but it's really things come from the inside and manifest in the outside. So we need to do that work in the inside to manifest something else in the outside world. My other belief, it might sound serious, also some things I've talked about, but my other belief is really like life is here to be enjoyed. I want to help you to live life to the fullest, like to live in abundance. And abundance, you have to see how you define it. It can be abundance of time, freedom, money, love, whatever it means to you, maybe all of it. But like we are here on earth to enjoy life. That's why I help you to, on your professional path, to find really something that is aligned, that feels enjoyable, that you wake up, you're like, wow, I'm so happy to either do this work, maybe as an employed person, or have this business. Like your time is so precious, how you spend your every day of your life. We want you, I want you. I hope you want to enjoy what you're doing. That brings so much fulfillment. And I've talked about the professional side, but in my head, again, I have a more spiritual approach to how we live on this earth. It doesn't matter personal or professional. It's like, just how do you spend your day? If I talk about professional, is more the side of how the society is built today, is like we need to make money in order to live in this society. And the professional means I'm actually retributed, like I earn something from my doing. Let's take it this way. That's really a deep belief I have, and we are here to enjoy life. I hope you share that one too. How is this podcast, the Inner Space, organized? You will find solo shows where it's only me talking, a bit like today. Some will be much shorter than this one because this is an introduction. But you will also, on diverse topic, I'm going to do like focus topics where I share my knowledge, my experience, also like perspectives from my clients, like all the clients I've worked with around a certain topic. And then another part that will be very interesting to you is like recorded coaching sessions. Some very brave people and really people who want to get my support for free, and that's also available for you, can complete the questionnaire. I have it as a link in with this episode. You can ask for some coaching. I record it and then it's available on the podcast. So you will see different topics, listen to what talks to you. It's just so interesting to hear about someone's challenges, see how maybe it provides a solution for you. I'm going with the flow with this podcast, so I might also have some guest interviews, but it's a mix of things. As I said, I'm multi-dimensional. It's not just one way, one thing. I'm just having fun also around the creation process. And I believe I could tell you much more, but this is already a lot. Maybe in a very short summary about me is I've not always had a business. I've not always been a coach. I had a previous career in fundraising in the art sector mostly. So art has always been part of my life. And I've done this big shift that some of you might feel on the edge to do, or maybe have done in your life, of leaving a career to create something that feels more aligned. And I am, where do you think am I from? Because I didn't talk about this, even though it's a super important part of my personality. So I would say the French people will hear the French and the Germans more the German part. Some people say I'm Swiss. I am not. I grew up in France. My father is German. My mother is Austrian. And that's really part of, I'm multicultural. Many of my clients are expats, live abroad, speak sometimes different languages. This podcast is in English, but I do work in French, in German. English will be the main language so that most of you can understand. But you can find also content and my services in French for those who really need French. And no shame, also no restriction around like your level of English, please, because many of you, it's not your mother tongue, and that's perfectly fine. It's not a language exercise here, it's a feeling exercise. So that's a bit about my multicultural background. I've lived in many different countries, in England, in Australia, in the US, in Italy, in Germany, in France. So that's a bit about more the cultural part, but that is also super important in who I am. Yeah, and more on the personal side, I've experienced what also many of my clients experience is going through a burnout professionally, moving through very toxic relationships at work. And I share you that because I know from the inside what you might be living or have lived in this big journey of realigning yourself. Because when you go so far, I can tell you are not aligned anymore with who you are. And also big relationship breakup. I help also clients move through that because love is I think it's one of the most important thing in life. So when you lose someone you love, that's a very hard journey as well. And then the journey of creating your business and sustaining your business, that's an ongoing journey as well. So that's it for now. I'm very thankful you listened until now. I hope that opened curiosity for you. I hope you want to stay here and spend time with me for your own journey. And I really invite you, if you like this episode, to share it. Put 5 stars. That helps me immensely to share my message, make this podcast grow. Yeah, and just be part of the journey. Comment. I love interaction. I'm not here to make a solo show all the time. I want this to be relevant to you. And the more you share with me, the more it will be relevant and adjusted to all of you. I conclude this episode with the song I chose for the podcast. So you have a last chance to check if the vibe is yours. And it's a song from Marcus Wade, Tribe of Noise. The title is Let You Go. I didn't choose the song for the title, even though I like the intention. I really chose it for the song in itself. It reminds me of the ocean. I'm curious how you will hear it, like hearing the waves and these movements. And it also feels like an Australian summer vibe for me, even though the musician is not Australian. But I feel that that's really significant for me because my own life took a big turn when I was in Byron Bay in Australia. You have to imagine a surface town, even though some people might describe it differently. It's also touristical today. But for me, how I felt in that town is you can just have this image I'm going to share and how you will listen to the song. I'm sitting on the beach. You hear the noise of the ocean. It's quite relaxed. The sun is setting. And I see some people surfing, and you know the elegance of people surfing on a longboard. I might see some dolphins. And I just feel one with the nature and the vibe there.